Good morning. Today, our reading takes us into Genesis chapters 38 through 38. 36 through 38. Genesis 36 lists the generations of Esau. This is the last mention of Esau in the Bible. We don't hear any more about it. Genesis chapter 37 begins by stating in verse 2, this is the account of Jacob. And then the rest of Genesis concerns the story of Jacob's family, specifically Joseph, and their eventual move to Egypt and into slavery. As we read the story of Joseph this week, I'd like you to join me in looking for some points of interest. What kind of boy or man is Joseph? Is he complicit in why his brothers despise him? Is there any record of Joseph praying or speaking to God? We know the story. Joseph eventually rises to be the second in command of Egypt, the most powerful nation on earth. If you rose to be second in command of the most powerful nation on earth, and you'd been separated from your father, would you sin for him? Why didn't Joseph do that? Joseph is not in the lineage of Christ. He is not in the lineage of the promised Messiah. So why is his story so important to us? Judah, on the other hand, is the son of Jacob that the Messiah comes from. In chapter 36, a woman is introduced that is from outside the bloodline of Abraham and becomes part of the lineage of Christ. See if you could see who that is and find out why. As you read this week, consider why the story of Joseph is given in such detail and what part Judah might have had to play in that. Consider the actions that Joseph takes and what his motivations were. But above all, I want you to note who the hero of our story is. You see, it is none other than God himself. Often when we read the Bible, we are caught up in the stories of men and women. We are flesh and we're drawn inward. We see ourselves in these stories and we connect in ways that remind us of our own world. But it is important that the main player is not Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, Joseph, or anyone else. It's important that we note that the main player is God. The one that we must fix our eyes on is God. It's God's desires that matter. It's God's actions, God's purpose, God's design, God's law, and ultimately it is God's grace. Man is not at the center of the Bible. Man is fallen and sinful and in need of a Savior. That's what the Bible teaches us. This morning, let's determine that we will put Jesus at the center of our story. You are blessed. God is with you. Let your life be a reflection of Him as you walk today in His Spirit. Have a great day.